Another nice command that you can use in SQL is the insert command, which lets you insert data into a table that is a copy of data that exists in another table. So for example, here I have an employee table and it has a bunch of columns. And then I created a new table that has the exact same columns. And what I want to do is I want to copy the employee data that's in the employee table into the employee copy. You know, maybe I'm going to try manipulating things and trying things out, and I don't want to be modifying my original table. So I can create a copy, and then I can say insert into employee copy, my new table, everything that was in employee. Let's try it out. Here we have a table called sample that has 5 rows in it. What I can do is I can create a copy of that. So let's create a copy. So let's call it sample copy. And then I can say I want to insert into sample copy. And I want to insert everything from the sample table. So I can say select star from sample. Oops, select. Oh, I see what happened. Remember, we had altered our table. We had added a couple of columns. So we had added, so let's see what it has right now. Okay, so it has color, price, and store ID. So let's go and create that table correctly. So we have sample ID, we have color, we have price, and I need to add store ID. Let's add that. ID, which is an int. Okay, so let's drop that table again. So drop table, sample copy, and let's recreate it. So we'll drop it, we'll create it again, and now I'm trying to insert everything into it. Let's see if that works. Okay, now it told me that 5 rows have been inserted. Let's see what it has in it. And it has the same table, the same rows. Now, here what I did was I inserted everything. You could also insert only a few things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this again, and I'm going to create another table, and I'm going to call this sample blue. Okay, so let's create the table. And this time what I want to do is I only want to insert the data that's blue. So I'm going to say insert into sample blue. And this time I'm going to say select star from sample where, and it was color. Color is equal to blue. So let's insert that data. So I've selectively selected some data, and now it shows me only 3 rows have been inserted. So let's see what actually got inserted. Okay, and now it only inserted the blue ones. So you can insert the whole contents of the table if you want to create a copy, or you can use your where clause so that you can filter some data. So I can say where color is blue or where store ID is null, so that I can set a store ID for them. So this is a nice command that we can use. Okay. Now, if you created another table, so here, let's say our original table had all these columns, and I'm just selectively creating a new table that only has a few of the columns. I don't want it to have everything. You can still do that when you do the select command to select what data to take from the original data into the new, from the original table to the new table. Just select the appropriate column. So here, because my new table has ID, name, first and last, and salary, I only selected those. Let's see an example of this one. So let's say here, let's create a table, sample red. And for this one, I don't want to store the store. I don't want the store ID because I know store ID is null. Okay, so no store ID. Okay, so let's create that table. Okay, now I insert into red. I'm going to say select, and I want to select everything except the store ID column because I didn't create it here. So I'll say sample ID, color, price from sample. Oops, this red needs to be stuck here. Where, let's say color is equal to red. So here I'm selecting the columns that I know will fit into the sample red, so I don't get an error message like the one I got earlier. And so now it told me 2 columns are there. And so if I say, show me what's in sample red, I will see those 2 rows, and I don't have the store ID column because it's not part of the table. So if you're copying between a table that has many rows into one that has less rows, then you can selectively select the columns that you want. Another command that you can do is the update command, and the update command allows you to update the data. So the alter command that we looked at is altering the table itself. It's adding a column, removing a column, changing the column type, renaming a column. You're making an update to the structure of the table. The update command is a command that runs to update existing data inside your database. So for example, if I have, the store ID is null and I want to set it to something, I can run an update. The way you do it is you say update the name of the table, and then you use the set command to set some value. So I can say set a column to a certain value, and I can use the where condition to filter. So for example, if I want to give all my employees a raise, I can say set salary equal to 25,000 where salary is less than 25,000. So if I had data in my database and I had some employees that didn't have 25,000 as their salary, I can update their salary. I can also give everyone like some kind of raise. So here I want the salary to be whatever it was plus 25,000 for the people that had less than 25,000. So let's run a couple commands to see how that works. So let's go back to our table that had sample. Let's come here. So let's say select star from sample. And we know that sample has the null for the store ID. Okay, so I can make changes. So I can say, for example, update sample, and I want to set store ID equal to, let's set the store ID to 10 to the products that are blue, where color equal to blue, for example. So now it told me that 3 rows were updated. And if I look at my table, now I have the store ID of these 3 places, 3 store IDs for blue. There it's set to 10. So I'm changing the data that already exists. What else can I do? Maybe let's change the color. So I can also update sample, and let's say set price equal to price minus 2. Let's give it all a discount. Okay, so let's try that. So here it says 5 rows are updated, and now the prices are all less than they were. They're $2 less than they were before. So you can update existing information in the table. You can also change a null value. Like what I did was I just set all the ones that are blue, but you can also say I want to change the ones that are, like, for example, null. So let's go back to our table, and here what I'm going to do is I'm going to update sample and set store ID equal to 20, where store ID is null. So anyone who doesn't have a store ID, I'm going to make their store ID have the value 20. Okay, so it told me 2 rows are updated, and if I look at my table, the last 2 rows that were red now have a store ID of 20. So these are the commands that we can use to alter the data, either the existing table structure using the update, using the alter command, or the update to alter the actual data. So in this classwork, you will practice using all these commands to do the classwork.